You talked about accountability and
Mhm.
how accountability can literally change a relationship. Can you share your experienced led view on accountability and how couples can use that in their relationship to make it
And
stronger?
practice it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is probably the most powerful thing anybody can do in a relationship. And the first thing about accountability is you have to be able to hear what the other person is saying. And so when you have, let's just use being late because that's something that you and I both know very well. Say somebody's like, you are always late and you don't respect me. I can't stand it. If I instantly go into the reasons why I'm late, I'm defending. So the first thing you have to do in order to take accountability is to actually listen to what this person is saying about you, and the way you could hear it the most easily is if you're listening as if they're not talking about yourself. If they're talking
Mhm.
about some other Andrea or some other Nick who is always late, then you have the ability to actually hear what's underneath their attack and their upsetness. And you get to hear how they were worried, how they were anxious, how they were scared. Maybe they were scared you got in a car accident. They were scared that you weren't going to make your flight and you weren't going to make it home. Right? They were scared and they were worried. And so if you can hear that human side of what you've done intentionally or unintentionally, to hear your person is saying, that's the first step to be able to taking any kind of accountability, because you're listening non-defensively.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is to recognize, like, oh yeah, I was late. There's a million reasons why I was late. None of those reasons matter. What matters is the fact I was late, and my being late hurt this person I love more than everything.
Mm.
And so if I can slow down and hear their hurt, because it's not really ever about the lateness, it's about my person felt disrespected, my person felt unloved, my person felt scared, and scared that I don't respect or love them. And so then that's where you're like, well, A, I know that's not true. So you get to say, like, yeah, I was late. I could see how scary that was for you and how disrespectful that felt. And I'm really sorry. Um, and then it's to say, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
Really like accepting that process that I've done something. And then if you want to go even a step further, you can say, my commitment to you the next time I'm running late is I'm going to call you or I'm going to text you or because you can't promise that you're never going to be running late again. You
It's
can.
unfair to expect that.
Well, it's not unfair because there's lots of people who are absolutely not late.
Oh, that's true.
Um, but it's hard for somebody like me, and it's hard for somebody like you to promise perfection in that way. So it's like, if I'm running late, I'm going to call, I'm going to text you so you don't have to worry. And for myself, I'm going to make a commitment. If I say I'm going to be there at 12:30, like that's when I'm supposed to be there at 12:30, I'm going to say I need to be there at 12:15 because I know I need a little bit of a buffer. And
Mhm.
so then that means I might get there at 12:28. I've got 2 minutes to spare and I am golden. But it's, when you recognize you have an issue with something, you have to do your own kind of mental gymnastics. And then you share that with your partner. So you say, yes, I was late. And I so glad you're telling me. I can see how scary it was for you. You don't offer any reason as to why you're late. If it feels burning inside that you want to tell them the reason you're late is because somebody was dropped down and were having a heart attack and you needed to give them CPR, so there's a real valid
Right.
reason, right? You still don't bring that forward, but you may say, I don't know whether or not you're interested, but if you're interested, I'd love to tell you what the factors were that made me late.
Right.
And they might be
Right.
like, well, tell me. And you're like, well, I gave this guy CPR who was having a heart attack. And they're like, what? Right? So
Yeah.
that's never been the case. But it's this idea of like just owning it. And the only way to do that is if you're hearing their upset as if they're talking about somebody else. So you can observe it in a different way. You don't need to put your defenses up.
Right. I think that's a very good way to think about it too. I hadn't thought of it. And I always thought I was the late one, but in my relationship now, I'm not the late one. Like I'm not the late one. But it's not because I've necessarily gotten better. It's because she is no concept of time. But we but we make it work, and we've had tough conversations, and I think in the future I'm going to commit myself to kind of looking at things a little bit about the feelings of it and what's going on inside instead of like the actual timeliness of
Yeah, the
of what's going.
factual things is the trap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, before we wrap up, I want to give you an opportunity to ask me anything, and then we can tell people how they can connect with you. And we'll put all those links in the show notes as well. So
Yeah.
ask me anything.
Um, I want to know how you decided to go on Love is Blind. Like, what was your kind of thought process, and um, how does one decide to do something like that?
Well, I got reached out to on LinkedIn actually from a casting director. I had only heard of the show. I never watched reality TV really. I had heard of the show because so many people watched season one and I was season two. I had quite a process. At first, I was like, let me just go through this process and see. Let me go
Mhm.
watch the show and see. And so, and I talked with my therapist about it. But at the time, I had experienced such horrible life of dating, especially that first year
Mm.
of COVID. So we filmed about this time and we started filming about this time in 2021. So we're in the thick of it. And I was like, these people that I was meeting during COVID, it was crazy town. Okay. Like
Yeah.
I could tell you stories forever. And so I was like, well, my assessment of dating is nobody takes the time to get to know each other. Everybody's one swipe away from the next. There's this feeling of endless opportunity out there because of dating apps. I'm in a big city, which I think kind of makes it a little bit worse. And I just wasn't having any luck. And I wasn't the people I did connect with. It was, one way or the other. And so I was kind of like, I didn't think I was going to get cast. So I'm just like, I'll just go through this process and
Oh.
maybe this show could work because all the distractions are gone. You've got 15 men and 15 women. And then, I came to terms with the fact that I was 100% okay if I met someone and got married, and I was 100% okay if I met all 15 women through a wall and went home. And I think that
Mhm.
mindset was what gave me the kind of like getting into that mindset gave me the trust in myself that I would be there and do it for
To
the
say
right
yes.
reasons. Because I was looking for someone. Like I had
Mhm.
everything else in my life. I have a condo in the city. I have a great dog who you just got to meet. I had a good job. All of these things were there. I just had no one to share it with. And I thought that the show and the experience of the show was just a different way that could actually work. And I do believe in concept it can work, but I think
Mhm.
real life hits you when you're out of there. And
Yeah.
all of these things that we've talked about this whole show are there without manufactured environment. So
Yeah. But I'm glad you did it because it
yeah.
made you who you are today.
Thank you for listening to this clip from the full episode of Eyes Wide Open. Please like and subscribe for daily clips and new episodes that drop every Tuesday. I appreciate you.